Hi, I'm Mikey Microphone, and the microphone is a metaphor for the fact that you have something beautiful to say, but you need to make the arrangements so you can be heard. One of those arrangements is making citations so that people know whether they can trust the things that you've written. And citations are part of my interface that were more neglected because I was only building tools as I needed them. Now that I have refactored my paragraph management tool set to the point where I'm really happy with how that's working, these links promote, edit, remove, and append, I am going to try to apply a lot of that same code to the citation system. So I'll start by creating a citation. And okay, so sometimes the form appears twice. I'm actually not totally clear on how that bug is occurring, but perhaps this refactor is actually going to impact that, because right now this link is mediated by JavaScript and we're going to switch over to doing it in pure Ruby. So I'll just say answers would be things like counter spells. It's not really a citation, but I'm not going to spend time looking up citations for this work while I'm on camera. So I'm going to refresh this, and the only interface that I currently have here is hide. I don't have an edit link, don't have a remove link, and I don't have links that will allow me to move it to a different paragraph or to reorder it if I have two. So I would say burn spells are some very common answers. Okay. So these don't have a reorder, promote link, which is for reordering the content. So this is the code where I am generating the markup that displays those citations. So I'm going to extract this into a method, and the convention that I've done, I'll show you the paragraphs helper. So I have paragraph form and paragraph control. Then there's edit controls for paragraph, and this one, I don't recall offhand what that one is used for. Let's see. Okay, that's used for in the case that a paragraph is included in a list. So when the list is displayed, the paragraph is displayed using this code here. And that might be a context where you wouldn't include the citations. I guess we can let that interface evolve after it starts to become used. So similar to this, I'm going to make, I think I already have citation form, and I already have citation control. Great. So I'm going to begin using citation control to handle all of this code here. So I'll copy this. I'll just paste it in down here for the moment. I already have this first line, div with data for a citation. Then the final version of this code has a div wrapping this. It has a link. And then it has a div wrapping this. Okay, and since I'm appending these with a plus sign, I need to surround them with parentheses. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to plug that in here, and it still displays the same. Okay. So now I want to look into replicating this tool set for citations. So at this point, I'm going to begin by replacing all the instances of the word paragraph with the word citation. Actually, and rather than doing it to all of them, I'll review them as I do. Replace and find. Okay. So this code is referring to some methods that do not yet exist for citation, like for example, delay citation path. So we'll handle creation of that. But the first thing I'm going to do is grab this object that this method needs in order to function correctly. So rather than, okay, so I start with taking the table of contents that identify which citations are in that part of the book. Rather than converting them to the citations that they locate, I am going to iterate over them. Citation table of content. Okay, right. So okay, so this one doesn't need an equals because this line of code is not going to be printing anything out. Citation equals citation table of content dot citation. And okay, so citation control, I'll look again at my example here. Paragraph control, okay, so paragraph control is rewritten to take the table of content and then establish the identity of the paragraph itself within that. So I'll follow that convention. I'll move this into citation control when it's already there. And here, I'll pass citation table of content into that method. So scanning through here, this is going to be okay, gonna replace these. Paragraph. And so I'm going to go line by line here for a moment and just scan what we need to have. So we need to have delay citation path. we need to have promote citation path, edit citation path, and citation path. Those seem to be the only methods that are being called here. They're not the only methods, but in a manner of speaking, they're the ones that they're the methods of the type that I'm focused on now. So I'll go to my roots file, and I'll look at what I have for paragraphs. So I have this append, delay, and promote. So I'm just going to copy this block. And I don't need append because currently citations don't have anything attached to them. They're basically the last leaf of the branch. But delay and promote, those are these declarations are going to define the methods that I need to use here. So at this point, I think I might be able to call this method and have it run without errors. I'll take a look at paragraph control where, yeah, so the edit controls just come in citation, table of content. I'll just tack them right in the end for now. Okay, so now if I refresh this, let's see what happens. Okay, fabulous. So we got some links. Okay, so we also got an append link, which again is not relevant to this edge of the thing. Okay, so let's see what happens if I promote. And that's probably going to give me a server error. The action promote could not be found in citations controller. So let's look at the controller. Nice and minimal. And what I'm going to do is go to the paragraph controller. I'm going to grab all of these. Okay. So starting with promote, I'm going to scan through this code and see if there's anything particular to paragraphs that needs to be changed to citations. Table of content, position, previous, update ordering. Okay, that looks like it's totally generalized already. So let's see what happens if we now, okay, so I'll save this. Refresh this just to be totally fresh. Hit promote. And it ran some code. It didn't throw an error, but it said no template found for citations controller promote. So I'm guessing this was, the burn spell one was on the bottom. Now it's on the top. So it managed to update the data, but it didn't manage to update the interface. So I'm going to go into citations, take a look at the code for paragraphs promote. I'll just copy this and citations. I'm going to make a new file, promote.js.erb. I'll replace this with citation, and this with citation. Then at this point, this is a situation where I don't think I need to refresh to experience. Okay, great. So this was moved up. The interface isn't completely updated because now this one should have a promote and this one should not have a promote. That I consider to be a more minor interface issue because I don't think that an author needs to do it needs to flip-flop them. I think, anyway, we can revisit that later and come up with a solution for it. For now, I'm considering this good progress. So let's move on to the remove method. So taking a look at citations controller, destroy, see if there's anything particular to paragraphs that needs to be updated to citation. Not here, not here, there, not there, and not there. Okay. So let's remove this. And again, we had a successful logic run, no interface update. So if I refresh this, okay, we're in good shape. I'll create a file called destroy.js.erb. Look at how it's done for paragraphs. And use a simple okay. And now if I remove this, it goes away. Cool. Control dex may have as few as 2 win conditions. Okay. Undefined method citation for citation. So we were trying to render the template. Okay, so citation control, that method was already existing. We changed what's called the signature, which means the structure of arguments that are passed to that method. So I changed the signature of it. I was passing it a citation. This now needs to take a table of content. So I'll look at the controller and see. Okay. So this is using the locate technique that I devised for the first edition of this code base. And instead of that, might have to take a few steps back here. Okay, so let me look at what was passed into the create in terms of parameters. The parameters that were passed in included book, edition, chapter, section, paragraph. Now, what I figured out how to do with, okay, let's see, so I have a citation form here. Yeah, okay, so these are all being established here. So citation, looking at paragraph helper, this now has a single tag here, which takes a attribute from a method, from a object passed in there. So let's continue walking backwards all the way to the append button itself. I'm going to look at how I established that append button for appending a paragraph to a section. Okay, so I wrote a method called append to, and then I passed it a table of content. So paragraph, edit controls for paragraph. It takes a paragraph table of content. Edit controls for paragraph is where this append thing is. So I'll change this with append to, and I'll pass in the paragraph table of content. Then I'm going to take another step and erase all these and replace them with this. Looking at sections append, curious what this has here. Okay, so it passes the table of content to the form, and the table of content established in the sections controller is, right, it's the section table of content. Okay. So looking at the paragraphs controller, similar stepwise action going for, so table of content, it's this. Then looking at the script that runs, paragraphs append, looking at the helper that defines this method, this is now going to take table of content and I'll fast forward a step to prepare the form to also do editing so that it could take a citation if there's one being edited, or it will create a new one if there's not one being edited. Okay. This looks like it might work. So this form is going to be submitted and passed into the citations controller create. And then I'm going to do away with this. And again, refer to the other controller. Okay, so that's creating the citation, finding the paragraph that we're attaching it to, and then creating a table of content that will actually attach it. And some of you may be noticing that I'm doing a lot of copying and pasting, and that is a hint that there might be ways to improve this code, and I do hope to improve it in the future, but for now, I want to take this step first. Okay, and this so can be called citation table of content. Then looking at the thing that happens after create. Okay, I've already updated the name of this variable. And so this might work. Let's see what happens. Example of a conditional answer is fatal push. Okay, we didn't get all the way. So it claims to have rendered the template, and I think that, so what we can do is use our inspector to look at resources. This is no XHRs, huh? It's possible that the inspector just kind of wasn't running at the moment when that came back from the server. Let's try again. Okay. So append. Okay. So this was looking for something called append citation to paragraph 344, and then it had some markup to put in there. It looks like the markup was correct. This citation hider. Oh, right, that's a link that allows me to hide the citation. And then all the edit links that we include in the citation as well. So this looks like it might be correct-ish. Let's figure out why we don't see the results here. So I'm going to grab this code, jQuery code, plug it into the console, see if there is anything by that name. There's not. Okay. And I think that the reason for that is because append was rewritten using a table of content rather than a paragraph. So let's see, create is expecting to hang this off a paragraph. And I'll just quickly take a look at paragraph, create in paragraph. Okay, so that's still hanging it off the section. I will go back here, and the DOM ID, rather than hanging off the table of content, we're going to hang it off the paragraph. Great. Okay. Conditional discard spell is transgress the mind. Okay, so now it knows where to put the new citation, and it knows how to find the form so it can be reset. So we have 3 of our 5 editing tools updated. The next one we can do is edit. I will start by looking at the citations controller. Edit. This looks like correct. This looks like needs to say citation. Then I will look at paragraphs edit.js. Go to citations, edit, js.erb. Okay. Cool. So edit worked the way I wanted it to. Let's see what happened. Let's look at the update action. Okay, so this is named paragraph. I'll just rename it citation. And then okay. So just for the Hawkeyes who caught this one, this code is a little bit overkill for the structure that I have now. Since citations don't have children, I don't really need to make this a loop. It is only going to be one object, and some of this code is referring to the fact that there could be multiple objects in there. However, for the sake of consistency across more of my controllers, I'm going to leave this as is for now because I am, again, looking forward to the moment when I can have this code just living in a single file and multiple controllers can basically pull the code in and use it. And so far, I'm pretty optimistic that this will be possible. So I'm ready. I believe that I'm ready with this. I'll look at the update script here, grab this code, citations, new file, update.js.erb. Okay. Did I establish a variable called paragraph in that controller? Yes, I did. Great. Spells that cost 3 or more. I believe that's what the spell does. Okay. Oh, gotta edit that one already. Sweet, I just did 2 consecutive edits. That wasn't possible with my previous interface. I had to refresh to get those editing buttons back. And you might notice that the interface is kind of breaking here. These links are falling out of the box because the sentence is longer. So that's cool. I haven't really settled on a great interface display style for citations. Probably going to try to take some cues from traditional literature, but on the other hand, we don't have to because we have an animatable interface. So I guess like medium.com has an interesting thing. I mean, they have the highlights which lead to discussions. I don't want to just rip out their best idea, but can be inspired by it. I'm sure they wouldn't mind. And if they do mind, just write in the comments and we'll resolve it. Okay. Got the edit and update. Is it possible that the only one left is delay? Okay, so let's look at delay. Table of content. This is indeed the citations controller. Position, parent, succeeding, last position, subsequent, update attributes. Okay, so here is the only mention of a position relative term. Then in delay.js, go to citations. Cool. Moved it on to the next paragraph. All right, so got this functional Ajax interface with just a few edits. We had to create a few new files. Actually, we edited a bunch of things. So we edited this controller, edited that one, wrote some helpers, switched one helper for another, replaced some code with a helper. Then we created all of these JavaScript templates, and we added some roots. So remember that a lot of this code was copy and pasted, so it's not quite as much code as it appears to be. In that, I'm just making sure that each of these ends with a new line because Git has some kind of a preference for that I don't completely understand. Okay, citations destroyed needs a new line. You can see there's a little red. Something's missing over there. Git has just a slightly easier time managing the files when there is a blank line at the end of them. Okay, so I'm going to commit this and say citations editable. Okay, so we took our paragraph tool set and we moved it down the chain to citation. So now we're at the end of the chain, and we can go back up to the next link, which is sections, and then from there, chapters, and that's probably going to be all we need. Additions, they don't get reordered and they don't get edited in the same way that like a paragraph would. So once we get to additions and books, I don't think we're going to need this Ajax interface for editing. We'll see when we figure out how the toolset is actually being used. That would be awesome if somebody found a need that actually made that relevant, but I don't think there is one yet. So remember that you can see the full text of the book at wayswemage.com. There's also a lot of amazing content there where I basically link to all my favorite stuff from other magic sites, YouTube, podcasts, and I have some resources that help you learn about the cards as well. You can make your own lists, and that is going to be a really fun thing for us to hack on once we finish this interface. I've been thrilled with the way that system has shaped up so far, and I know that it's going to get much, 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 much better. So get in there and start playing around with it. We can collaborate on what will be the best features for it to have and build them. All right.